In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use your email marketing to create a series of email reminder notifications for anyone who's recently registered for one of your online or virtual events. Now, the email tool that I'm using is Drip Email Marketing, but you can do this in many other email service providers that are out there. So I have a webinar funnel that I've created before, and I used a tool called Crowdcast. So whenever someone subscribed or registered on my Crowdcast webinar details page, they got automatically added by trigger rules into my Drip account. So now they are subscribed, okay? So they're opted into my list, or at least into my webinar registration list. And the next thing that I've done is, you can skip this part, but I personally have a setup that has people getting into another segment of mine. But this is the next crucial part that you're going to see me set up, and that's the tagging feature. So once they get added in to my email list, I want to automatically tag them. So that way I will be able to use it going forward whenever I'm going to continue sending email notifications, but also just in the future. So I know exactly the source of how they came in or what were one of the segments that they were in. Now, tagging is not the only way to do this. You can also do custom fields. If you are very familiar with Drip, custom fields adds a more static approach. So if you wanted to have a finite or only one single source or something, then custom fields would be the way to go. But this is showing tags, and tags are just as useful. Again, they could just get a little bit messy if you have a lot of tags, but not the point of this video. So got them tagged. This is saying that, hey, they're part of the 3 things to know webinar series that I have going on. And then immediately after they get into my funnel, then I send them a confirmation email. And that confirmation email is super to the point, simple. And it basically says, thanks for registering for this webinar. Stay tuned, for details. You'll get reminder emails and so forth. So this is just a look at it here. So really quick, reminds them of the time, the reason why they're joining the webinar, and then we'll let them know, we'll remind them as the webinar comes closer to date. So let's go back here. Now, the next thing that happens, and this is totally optional if you are using the webinar software such as Crowdcast, what's nice about it, it has an integration with Drip. So it sends back tags or custom fields over to your Drip account. And it's able to tell you after the webinar happens, whether they attended the webinar or they did not attend the webinar. And that's going to make a difference, because if someone attended your webinar, there's a different kind of immediate follow-up that you probably want to send them. You don't need to you'll send them the replay for sure, but it's more about taking action or whatever the goal was for them to do after that live event, right? Or that webinar. If they didn't attend the event, then you probably want to say, hey, sorry, you missed this. Do you have any questions for me? Here's the replay. And maybe you want to follow up a little slower because you want them to watch that replay before you do your normal follow-up that you did with your live attendees. All right. And then after that, something that I like to do is have another tag that just gets them tagged, so I know if they were an attendee or if they weren't an attendee. And that's really useful for later on, trust me. And then I wait about 3 hours. And then for both groups, they get sent the actual replay. And then this is just some other stuff that you don't really need to worry about. So we're going to just look at how I set that up really quickly. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to show you some things. So that example showed an example if you were using a webinar tool such as Crowdcast. I'm going to actually do an example here saying that we're not using a webinar tool. So maybe you had a live Facebook event or a live YouTube event, something that's not necessarily a webinar integrated tool that goes to your email. It's just a regular live event. This is actually going to be useful if you have a live event that's actually not online, because in the same sense, it's a little bit manual if you're trying to decide if someone attended or not. So this is the starting point of my workflow in Drip. Now, if you've watched one of my other videos just on connecting your landing page provider or your landing page tool to your email account. So if you're promoting the event on a landing page, I use Leadpages. I have a video that shows once you create that landing page, and that person signs up to attend that virtual event, they should be automatically added into your Drip account. So that's assuming that step has happened, and now they're being added in here once they register. So the one thing that I want to do, or the first thing that I want to do, is go ahead and do an action. And in that action, I am going to say, I want to apply a tag. And then I'm going to create a tag. Okay, so I'm creating a test tag. And then I'm going to update. And now this gets them tagged. Whenever they come onto this list, I'll know, hey, these are the virtual event people from, for the event on Wednesday. And then from there, the next thing that I want to do is very easily, I'm just going to send them a one-off email. So in here, send a one-off email, and you can choose whether you want the text or a visual builder. I'm going to choose the text. Oops. Okay, so now I'm in my email, and in here I can go ahead and create my email that I need, whatever email that I want, or I can choose one of my templates that I have saved already if I wanted to. Any of these I can choose. So let's just choose this one for right now. Update. Add my template in there, and then I'll save it. And this would be the email that you would just use to say, thanks for confirming the event. Thanks for registering for the event. We'll send you updates an hour before the event begins, and so forth. So that's what that email is serving its purpose for. Then I'm just going to show you the steps that I would take after I do this. So I would actually leave it right here. I have my test tag created. I created my immediate follow-up one-off email. There's some other things that I can do, as you saw in my other workflow example, but for purposes of simplicity, I would actually stop there. And now I have this automatic, just a very basic automatic event reminder workflow set up. Now, the thing is, let's say you're promoting this event for 2 weeks before it actually happens, and people can register up until literally an hour before it begins, who knows, or up until the minute it begins. It's a little hard to automate, or there's ways you can do it and reasons you can do it, but I would definitely say to keep things simple and more manageable, you probably don't want to automate your automated reminders of those events, because what's going to happen is people register for your event at different times, and someone may even register like 30 minutes before the event begins. And if you have these automated reminders coming up saying, hey, I'm going to remind you, we're 2 days away from the event, it's not going to make sense, right? Because people signed up at different times. So what I would do is just leave this workflow as it is, and all it's serving is to tag the person and to send them the immediate confirmation email once they sign up. Then the next thing that I would do is set up my broadcast campaigns. So I'm going to show you some examples of ones that I had created before. We're not going to create these all now, but in my broadcast area in Drip, what I would do is create my reminder email. So I like to send out 3 reminder emails. I send out the confirmation first of all, that goes out immediately after. And then I have 3 reminder emails that go out on the day of the event. Okay. So the day of the event, as you can see here, I had a webinar. This is for the 12/6 webinar. And day of, let's just go here. We had an email reminder that got sent out an hour before the webinar begins. So it's just that hour reminder. Hey, get ready in an hour, get your screens ready, clear the room, get your headphones out. In an hour, this webinar is going to begin. And then 10 minutes before, I send a reminder. And that's just getting everyone prep. It has the link in there, gets them ready, gets them excited. And then optionally, you can send a starts now. So the minute it starts. And the reason I love doing this, I try to look at the psychology of myself when I send out emails, and the psychology of myself when people send me emails to listen into their webinar, is that you can send me a reminder an hour before, and I'll say, oh yeah, that webinar is going to happen. Then I'll get distracted, guaranteed, somewhere between minute 0 and minute 45, right? So within those 45 minutes before that meeting starts, I'm going to forget. And the next thing I know, 2 hours past the event and I missed the whole event. So when a company or brand sends me a reminder email, even just 10 minutes before, it's the best thing, because 10 minutes, there's not a lot for me to get distracted. Trust me, I still can get distracted in 10 minutes, but I'm still, it's a shorter window. And that's why I love the starts now reminder, but sometimes that might be a little too late, right? So the 10-minute is crucial. I wouldn't, even 30 minutes is risky because again, there's so much that can happen in there. So I would definitely highly recommend sending a 10-minute reminder email. So all I did in here is create 3 broadcast emails and I scheduled them. So if my event was for December 6th at 11 a.m., I created a reminder email, 3 reminder emails. So I created one, scheduled it to go out December 6th at 10 a.m. Then I scheduled my 10-minute reminder to go out December 6th at 10:50 a.m. Then I created the reminder email that goes out December 6th at 11 a.m. You may even want to get a little, better here and actually do 10:59 a.m. So that way it gives people that moment to actually log on, because you presumably are starting exactly at 11. Okay, so that's how I would handle my live event or virtual event or webinar reminder series. So I would, 1, create my workflow in the automation section of Drip, okay? And then I would use broadcasts to schedule out my reminders on the day of. And then that's it. Hope this helps, and hopefully see you guys sending out reminder emails that are useful for your audience.